Welcome, comrades. This is going to be my attempt at a first video for my new platform, 10K Thunder and Black Shields. I'm naming the platform Thunder and Black Shields. Back in 1987, there was a mini-series that came out depicting the history and development, the unification of various tribes in the southern part of Africa under the King Shaka Zulu. And according to the miniseries, I don't know if it happened in real life, I wasn't there, but Shaka Zulu's mother, Nandi, she was approached by a witch doctor. And the witch doctor, whose name was Satai, told Nandi that from her womb would come a generation of thunder and black shields and bloodstained spears. That generation would create a new dynamic in Southern Africa where it was able to unite all of the opposing tribes under its rule and challenged other tribes or nations or kingdoms that didn't fall up under his rule. So I envision the unification of certain elements in Black America. Not everybody is gonna agree with what I have to say. Not everyone is gonna agree with everything anyone has to say, but I do have a perspective. One of the things that I feel that can really unify us as we try to solidify efforts is socialist practices internally. What that means is that amongst ourselves, we want to try to operate as collectively as possible in achievement of the overall goal, whatever that goal is. Externally, yes, we do practice capitalism because there are markets out there that are out there to be exploited. Now, exploit doesn't necessarily have to be bad. It just means that we are selling our ideas, our services, our products to a viable market. Now, with Thunder and Black Shields, we do have goals, and some of those goals are the creation of a united front. Now, what is a united front? Politically and socially, economically, if we look at a united front is composed of various groups and ideas that have coalesced up under an umbrella. And under that umbrella, they're all fighting for the same objective, whether that objective is economic development, whether that objective is political solidarity of its various classes or whatever. But yes, we definitely have to practice socialism and the creation of the United Front. Now, this platform isn't going to follow the same format as all other platforms. It's a lot of platforms on YouTube, especially in our community, that they regurgitate the same message. They show you these little clips, they talk about, the rappers, and, now we're in the midst of a national election, so everyone is choosing sides, everyone is endorsing a candidate. We're not here for that, but we are here to provide valuable and viable information where, in the final analysis, you can make an informed decision. One of the most important goals of this platform is the creation of economic centers of gravity. And economic centers of gravity in this particular instance means the creation of logistical and supply chains. Formation of national and international trade relations. We no longer live in a world where unipolarism is accepted. We have World War III that's broken out in Europe. We have the creation of BRICS. We have the dissemination of multipolarism, which is diametrically opposed to unipolarism. And if we are to, a lot of young black men, they talk about becoming millionaires and billionaires and all that, then we have to start developing relationships outside of America. And how do you do that? You have to go outside of America. We need to develop think tanks. Very important. Think tanks are very important, but in order to develop think tanks, you have to have critical thinkers. So that's what this platform is designed for. It is geared toward the more serious black man. All men, but black men in particular, young black men. We have to reject those ideas that are contrapositive to our economic, social, and political values. For instance, let me give you an example. Okay, so for the last 60, 70, 80 years, the black community has overwhelmingly voted for the Democratic Party. Overwhelmingly. The Democratic Party has proven that it does not care about the aspirations of the black underclass, the black middle class, or even some of the black elites. They just don't care. But they use the black elites to manipulate the thinking of the lower black middle class and the underclass. And we've seen this play before. Now, they've thrown Kamala Harris out there. She wasn't even voted in as a candidate to run for the Democratic Party. They overthrew Joe Biden and just gave America Kamala Harris. She's not a strong leader. She can't stand up to the Putins of the world. She can't stand up to the Z's of the world. And what you've seen is that a lot of younger black men and some women now are coming out against the Democratic Party. But what do? They choose the lesser of two evils. Now you have all these people coming over here, black America, they done bought their black puppets out, the comedians, the rappers. These people have absolutely no political training, no ideological development other than that's been supplied to them by the colonial masters. So now they're endorsing Trump, and they're using their media platforms and news outlets to do it. So if it's not in our interest, I don't think Donald Trump is in our interest. Now, if you vote Democrat or if you vote Republican, you have to also just not concentrate on their internal policies. You have to look at their external policies or the international foreign relation policies. For instance, you're going to vote for Donald Trump. Okay. Well, let's look at Donald Trump's track record. What does Donald Trump do in the international community? He killed Soleimani, I think that's his name, over in Iraq, assassinated him. He funneled weapons and money to Ukraine in order to be a bastion against Russia, the Russian Federation. He reimposed sanctions on Cuba, which there are a lot of black people down in Cuba. So if you vote for Donald Trump, and once he gets in office, and he does something in the international arena that further the goals of the neocons in America, then you have to also take responsibility for that. And a lot of young black men, we don't even think about international policies. We only looking at the here and now. What can you do for me now? What can you do for me now? I'm gonna tell you what Donald Trump can do for you now. He can do nothing. He can do nothing for you. You have to do it for yourself. And we'll get to that, as this channel develops. I'm in my backyard right now. It's hot down here in Memphis, so I'm sure you can see the the fan, or the image of the fan off the wall here. It's hot down here, so I'm just making a quick video in my backyard. Some other things that we must concern ourselves with, and I think I just touched on it, but as black people, whether you black underclass or the black middle class or what have you, you have to stop selling your vote. You cannot choose the lesser of two evils just because it's convenient, or just because these are the only candidates that they've given you. Sometimes it's just best to sit it out. And when you're sitting it out, you're not just sitting it out. You're sitting it out because you disagree with these people's ideas. You disagree with their neocon values. So, you sit it out, but, at the same time, you start to organize within. And that's what 10K Thundering Black Shields is about. It's about us sitting it out for a little while, especially us young black men, and coming up with a national and international strategy on how we are going to achieve our goals. Me personally, I don't care for the Democratic Party or the Republican Party because I know what they're about. You might as well just call them the Uniparty because they all share the same ideas. They push the same policies. One is just said a little different than the others. You got a so-called right, and then you have a so-called left, which aren't right or left at all if you study what left-wing politics are about or right-wing politics about. I think the Democratic Party might be more right-wing than the Republican Party. But if you don't know, how to decipher and analyze different concepts, then, you'll call the Democratic Party the left. They're not the left. They're not socialists. They're not communists. They are capitalists. That's the agenda that they push. Each party is represented by the same ruling elite. I'm going to say it again. Each party is represented by the same ruling elites. Whether they be liberals or whether they be neocons, they are supported by the same elites, which means that their pockets are being funded by the ruling classes of America. So I think it's our job. I like to do a lot of reading. Right now I'm reading Wretched of the Earth, and I'm reading Black Skin, White Mask. And inside Wretched of the Earth, Frantz Fanon, I know a lot of you guys probably never heard of Frantz Fanon, but he was a Martinican, and he ended up going to Algeria, joining the Algerian resistance. A black man. One of the most important quotes that I'll never forget from him is that each generation out of relative obscurity must discover its own mission, act on it, or betray it. So I consider it my mission to, give people as much information as I know. A little something about me is that in 1992, I published the book Strategic Alliance, and the Strategic Alliance by Dumela. My name is Dumela. I'm Dumela. That name was given to me out inside the California prison system by some very highly trained and politically developed black prisoners. Strategic Alliance, we'll get into that. I'm not going to really go into it right now. But Strategic Alliance, as I wrote it up, I was bored in my cell one day. I wanted to read, I used to read the Mac Bolan books. And I was in San Quentin on the tier, and the librarian was rolling the book cart down the tier, and I was in lockup. I was in the shoe, so I couldn't get out of the hole. So she was rolling the book cart down the tier, and I was like, you got a war novel? Mac Bolan on the cart? She didn't have any Mac Bolan books on the cart. So I said, you know what, man, I'm going to write my own war novel. So Strategic Alliances started off as a war novel, but it quickly developed once I was transferred from San Quentin down to Corcoran. It quickly developed into not just a war novel exclusively, but a political interpretation of the new African revolutionary nationalist movement in this country. We're not going to touch on that right now. I'm just giving you just a little background information of who I am. So I've been around a little bit. I'm 51 years old, and I've been around some very powerful political thinkers and critical thinkers in my lifetime. But again, Thundering Black Shield, like I say, is designed more toward the critical thinker. And we're not going to get everybody on my team. I don't expect for me to have a million followers. Because, if you're not, talking the bull crap, then, no one wants to hear you. Once you start talking, critical thinking points, then a lot of people, they tune themselves out. We're not here to play the game. We're not Anton Daniels. We're not O'Shea Duke Jackson. I like O'Shea. That's my boy, right? Anton Daniels, On the other hand, I'll get to that. But I do follow some of the black social content creators on YouTube. But again, they're all talking the same points. You know, Passport Bro movement. Passport Bro movement, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about it, but I don't have anything good to say about it either. I mean, I can understand where you're coming from. You know, there is a division in our community amongst black men and black women. There's clear division. And it's cool if you want to go overseas and, you know, try to find you a woman overseas with quote unquote traditional values, which is almost impossible in the Western Hemisphere. I don't care where you go, because in the Western Hemisphere, the United States is top dog. They disseminate all of their ideas to the rest of their satellite nations over here in the West. So I don't know how traditional that woman is going to be. But the passport bros, what I will say is that I don't see you building anything. You know, you talk about going to other countries to find wives, but I don't see you guys as being like explorers. You know how, you know, back in the day, they jump on a ship and they conquer another land and create a new nation. I don't see you guys doing that. I see you guys leaving America, complaining about black women in America, which is, trust me, I understand. But I don't see you leaving the country, going on business trips. I don't see you going to other countries trying to create international trade relations. I don't see you going to other countries taking the skills that you've acquired here and taking it down there and building anything. But, you know, everything develops in stages and processes. You know, right now we're in the early stages of the Passport Bro movement, right? But again, we have to get serious. I mean, we're living in a serious world right now. We are in World War III. And trust me, if the Democrats or the Republicans or the ruling classes of America, if they keep following the same line of progression that they're on, World War III is going to come to the shores of America. No longer is World War III or any world war going to be confined to Europe. You know, in the past, yes, you know, no one had the ability to attack America. But now, they definitely have the ability to ravish every city in America. And America doesn't have any air defenses. So once the hypersonic missiles start coming in, it's going to get very dangerous. And again, we're living in some dangerous times right now, and you definitely have to choose a side. As I make more videos, I tell you about my own personal experience with this government over here. You're living under evil dictatorship in America. These people are evil. And once they single you out for destruction, like they singled me out, your life will never be the same again. It'll never be the same again. They will use every inch of their critical infrastructure to destroy you, period. So it's not like back in the days where, you know, they would send the old assassin at you and, you know, shoot you and, you know, kill you like that, or you know, set you up, you know, COINTELPRO style tactics and get you sent off to prison and all that kind of stuff, even though they use those tactics right there. But no, they're using other tactics today. They just make your life miserable. They just completely destroy you, and everyone around you will know what's going on. But being that these people over here, you know, the people in our community, especially the black community, you know, we never achieved ideological freedom in terms of our thinking. We've always been under the dictatorship of the Slavocracy, the industrialists, and now the capitalists. So all of our ideas come from them. I don't care how pro-black you think you are. I don't care how independent you think you are. No, we are a neo-colonial nation, period. But back to the point. So 10K Thundering Black Shields, what do we seek to achieve? We seek to achieve the development of strong black critical thinkers. Men. The women, they already accounted for. They're already accounted for. No, the men have to take control. We have to take control of our community. We have to take control of the education of our children. We have to take control of our economic development. We have to do the tough, hard work. We have to start all over again. We have to start over from scratch. But it can be done. Of course, I won't live to see the end results, but I'm just one of many messengers out there. There are a lot of good critical thinkers in our community, a lot of them, whether they in prison or outside of prison. You know, whether they're part of the black middle class or whether they're part of the black underclass. We have some very intelligent people walking around, and it's necessary for those minds to come together and decide the course or the direction in which we want the future generations to go. And again, I'm just making this video in my backyard, and I'm probably rambling, and you know, I try not to use notes, but you know, I had to use a couple of notes. But again, formation of a national and international trade relations, supply chains, and logistical chains. We can do that. No one can stop us. They'll try, but they can't stop us. Creation of the United Front. 10K Thundering Black Shields is a united front. And the reason why I say 10K is that we need 10,000 black men. We need 10,000 black men to come together and follow one line of development. Of course, everyone is going to have their ideas. Everyone, you know, is going to have a say-so. Me personally, I believe in democratic centralism. I don't believe in democracy, because democracy in its totality is just complete chaos. I don't believe in centralism in its totality, because centralism becomes authoritarianism, even though democracy is authoritarian also. But centralism becomes authoritarianism after a while. So I believe in democratic centralism, which means that, you know, every one of us can have input, say-so, in the development of ideas and courses of action. But once a course of action has been decided, this is where the centralist aspect comes in. We have to stay the course. Our problem is that we cannot stay the course. You know, we have so many distractions in the country now. You know, you got the rappers, and you know, they just inundate you with sports. You know, we got the drugs floating around, everybody high. I mean, it's just a lot of distractions. But again, we have to get serious. We don't know how much more time we have. When I tell you that we are in the midst, World War III has already started, so we don't know how this is going to end. I can say one thing: America's not going to win. I can tell you that emphatically. They're not going to win World War III. They didn't even win World War II. Russia won World War II. Russia lost over 30 million people. If it would not have been for Russia, then we would live in an entirely different world today. Russia won that war, and no one should ever forget that. But again, we trying to develop critical thinkers. We're gonna need, man, people to contribute to this channel, not financially. We need ideas. See, ideas create infrastructure. Infrastructure creates money. And there's a lot that goes into that. But we'll get to all that. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Dumela, and I'll be back shortly with more videos. So push the like button.